And this tombstone, I'm going to use monster mud to incorporate these two little skeletons. Okay, so I've wrapped the rib cage of the skeleton with some masking tape, and we're going to spray some Great Stuff foam inside the chest cavity. The masking tape is just to keep the foam from expanding out past the rib area. We can trim off any extra afterwards. It's just to give the skeletons a little bit more of a body shape to them. All right. Alright, now let it set up and cure. And now with the tape off, you can see how the spray foam filled in the chest cavity, leaving some ribs exposed. I can cut some of that down to see more of the ribs. But it gives the skeleton prop a little bit more fullness before I monster mud him up and use him on the top of one of the tombstones. This is the top of the headstone where the two skeletons will sit. And what I'm doing is, you see the sharp edge on the foam. I'm breaking that up to make it look more natural. I'm going to add some cracks, make it look more like a solid stone piece. I've sanded off the edges, made this more stone-like, and carved in across here using my hot knife in the base. Going to glue the top section to the bottom section of my skeleton monument. This will be the base to my skeleton monument. I'll have the two skeletons monster mudded on top there. I've already taken off all the sharp edges. Got a few spots I missed I'm going to go back over real quick. And then I'm going to fill in the cracks with some caulk, let that dry, sand it down, and get ready to paint. And there we have the skeleton monument base, sanded and caulked. I'll let this dry, sand down the caulked areas, and get ready to paint. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, the skeleton monument that I'm building, I'm going to take some PVC pipe, mark a spot behind them, drill down with a little drill bit, and then I'm going to zip tie this to the back of the skeleton to hold them in place. This will be hid by the shroud I'm going to put over them later. Squirt a little water in there just to activate the glue. And then set the skeletons back up to it. She's going to have her leg sitting across his leg. She's going to be leaned in a little to him. Alright. And then just going to zip tie the skeletons to PVC pipe. Again, this will be covered and hidden. Again, I've glued the PVC pipe into the styrofoam, zip tied the skeletons to it. I'll clip off those excess zip tie there. That'll all be hidden by the cloak that I'm going to make out of Monster Mud to cover them with. But there they are. And there's a first look at the skeletons with the dry lock on them. Haven't finished. You can see their feet still aren't painted, or the rest of the monument. But that's the first coat, and I'll be using an old sheet and some Monster Mud to make a shroud for the female skeleton. I failed to show the weathering technique that I used, but if you'll check out one of my other videos on my headstones I make, it'll show how I weathered the tombstone to make it look more natural. I added the moss paint, some actual moss, and some coins to the headstone. All we have to do now is Monster Mud the shroud for the female skeleton, and this monument will be complete. I'm going to now mix up a mixture of Monster Mud and use that to coat this shroud that I have on my skeleton monument. That'll turn this into more of a concrete statue monument. And you want to get the entire, every covered area of the shroud covered, and it's just going to soak it up. It's going to make it heavy. You don't want any exposed areas that don't have any of the Monster Mud compound on it. You want it completely coated. Okay, after applying the Monster Mud shroud to the female skeleton there, it has started to set up, so it's got a little more curing to do, but as you can hear, it's quite hard already. Once that completely dries, I will do some detail work, paint in some of the highlights, add a little weathering, but there you have it. Skeleton tombstone monument. Thank you for watching the videos, and thank you for subscribing.